So this is 17b, which is distance formula. Okay. Basically, distance formula is telling me if I'm on a coordinate plane, okay, the distance between 2 points on that coordinate plane. That's what we're finding, all right? The formula is this. It's the square root of x2. Does that look like a 2 to you? Not a very good 2. x2 minus x1 squared plus y2, thank you, minus y1 squared. My hand is getting in the way these days. I don't know what the deal is. So that's the formula you're using. Basically, if you think of it in terms of a coordinate plane, so let me draw you a quick picture here. Okay, if I were to draw a right triangle like this, okay, you've probably learned the Pythagorean Theorem before. Have you learned the Pythagorean Theorem? If you took algebra from Valley, you saw the Pythagorean Theorem. What is it? A squared plus b squared equals c squared, okay? We use that one quite a bit in geometry. Not for a little while yet, but you will use it. So if this is my triangle, and this is A, and this is B, and this is C, right? C is always the hypotenuse. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. That's what distance formula is doing for you. If you think of it this way, x2 minus x1 is this minus that. So b is that, okay? Plus y2 minus y1 is this side here, subtracted, finding the distance or the length of A. So that's like your A. And then the distance, so from here to here, the length of C, if that's what we're finding, is here. So it's like saying A squared plus B. Why? My hands must have got fatter in the last couple days because I keep doing that. Plus B squared equals, now why isn't this squared? Because we square rooted over here, right? So if it was squared, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. In order to get just c, I square root both sides. Well, that cancels this. So c equals a squared plus b squared square rooted. Don't worry about that. I'm just showing you it totally relates to a triangle in the coordinate plane. It's totally the Pythagorean Theorem, okay? Which we'll deal with more later, but it's just a cool little correlation that maybe you didn't realize. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give you points, and you're going to have to find the distance between them using the distance formula. So I will write that for you again so it's not so scribbled all over. So if it's this, distance equals the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2, that's a 2, sorry, minus y1 squared. That's your formula, okay? Here's what you're going to do with it. Come on. Oh, goodness. This thing is wigging out on me. Okay. You are going to do something like this. What is the distance between U, which is negative 7, 5, and V, which is 4, negative 3. Okay, what is the distance between those 2 points? So what you're going to do is you're going to plug those into the distance formula. Question for you. Which one needs to be x1, x2? You remember? What? Right. Which one? Yeah. I mean, which one's which? Which is your x1? Can be. Does it have to be?
No.
No. Okay. Those are interchangeable. You can swap them as long as your 1's stay together and your 2's stay together. Okay. So if I want to call this x1, then this has to be y1. And if I want to call this x2, then this has to be y2. So it's the same rule that applies to the midpoint formula. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to plug it into the distance formula. So it's going to be the distance equals the square root of, so if we're going x2 minus x1, that's 4. And here's where the mistake always gets made. It's x2 minus x1, right? So it's 4 minus a negative 7. It's not 4 minus 7, okay? It's 4 minus a negative 7 squared plus, and then y2 minus y1, so negative 3 minus 5, and we square that, okay? Now you simplify. So minus a negative is plus a positive. 4 plus 7 is 11 squared. So it's the square root of 11 squared plus negative 3 minus 5 is what? Negative 8. What's negative 8 squared? It's 64, right? A negative 8 squared is negative 8 times negative 8, which is positive. So when you square a number, it will always become positive. That's the other place that I see a lot of mistakes on this. So this is negative 8 squared. So really you're doing the square root of 121 plus 64, which would be the square root of 185. And then from there, we make an approximation. So if you plug in the square root of 185, and if you don't know where your square root key is on your calculator, talk to me, and I will help you find it. We're going to round to the nearest tenth, okay? So when I plug that in, uh-oh. Have a dead battery? There it is. You get 13.6 to the nearest tenth. Okay? That is distance formula. Questions on that? Okay, so let's say we were working on a coordinate plane and we had, I don't know if I wrote example 1 or example 3 for that. We had 2 points on our coordinate plane. We had the point B, which is negative 30, negative 20. And we had the point C, which is negative 15, 10. And I said, find the distance between those 2 points on the coordinate plane. What are you going to do? Mm-hmm. So the distance formula, okay. So what's that going to look like?
D equals the square root of
What do you want your x1, y1 to be?
negative 30 and negative.
Okay, so we can make this first one our x1, y1. But like I said, you can do it the other way too. There's certain ways that you'll work with more negatives. If you're more comfortable with less negatives, then flip your numbers, okay? So if this is x1, y1, this is x2, y2. Try it without looking at the formula in front of you. What do you do? What's your first number? Negative 15, your x2. Then what? Minus your x1, which is a negative 30. What do you do to that? Square it. Then what? Plus. Then what? 10, your y2. Then minus a negative 20. What else? Square it. Okay, so you're just plugging it into distance formula again. Simplifying that, this would be plus a positive and plus a positive. So you have the square root of negative 15 plus 30 is 15. 15 squared is 225 plus 10 plus 20, so 30. 30 squared is 900. So you would have a distance of the square root of 1125, okay? So really, we're going to take that number and we're going to plug it into the calculator. The square root of 1125 is approximately 33.5. Okay? Any questions on that? That is your whole lesson today, just using the distance formula. You'll see later how it